So now that we've styled the header, let's begin styling the articles. So you can see that we do have quite a bit to style here. We have one div that wraps around the entire article. And then if we want to add specific styling to just the heading or just the article content, we can do it using these classes. But for right now, let's just work with the article class. So I'm going to copy that. And in the CSS file, we want to do .article and then use our curly braces. And in here, the first thing we want to do is we want to give it a border. So let's do border 2 pixels and we'll do solid and let's do black. So if we save this, each article should now have a border around it. So now that we have a border, we need to add some spacing here because the articles are too close together. So there's 2 types of spacing and this is a good way of demonstrating it. So here I want to add a padding and I want to set this to 10 pixels. And if we save this, we should see that now it has some extra spacing inside of the border. So this is not actually what we want. What we want is called margin. So these are the 2 types of spacing around our elements that we can have. One is called padding, which pads inside of the border, so just around the element. And the other one is called margin, which pads outside of the border, and it's meant to separate elements from each other. So if we save this, we should now see that that's what we want. But we also do want a bit of padding as well, so let's add that in. So now we have 10 pixels of margin and 10 pixels of padding. And this looks a bit better. The elements are separated from each other and there's a bit of space between each element and its border. And there's one more thing we want to do here, which is, one more thing we want to look at here, which is we applied a margin to all directions. So when we say margin 10 pixels, it's applying a margin on the left, the right, the top and the bottom. But if we wanted to only apply that to one side, we could say, for example, margin dash bottom. And this would only apply a margin to the bottom. And in this case, that's fine. But most of the time, just using a margin on its own will work well. Sometimes what you don't want to do is add a margin on the top. If, for example, your title already had a margin on it, in that case, you do only a margin bottom and not a margin top. Because what would happen is your title has a margin of 50 and then your article has a margin of 50. So the gap in between would end up being 100. If that was the case, it would be better to only apply a margin to the bottom of each element. But right now we don't really need to talk about that. I just wanted to bring it up in case someone was having that error. So after we do this, next what we want to do is round off the edges here because I don't like how square this looks. So what we can do is we can do a border radius. So that's border dash radius. And we can set this to 16 pixels. So I like to set my border radius in increments of 4. So you can set it to 4, 8, 16 and so on. And that will just round off the corners here. 16 is usually what I go for because I just think it looks the best. And yeah, I think that's the article's done. The only thing I want to change is maybe the text color for the heading. And then we want to add some color to the actual article itself and maybe to the button as well. But I think I'm going to leave that for the next video. In this video, we've already covered quite a few things. So yeah, I hope none of you are feeling overwhelmed or something. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them below and I'll make sure to answer them. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next video.